Hey guys, how's it going? Just setting up just a few more things right here. Ooh. Okay, here we go. Hey guys, I'm Nightside here with one of the design stream focus on, oops, the world ends with you. Hey Vash in stream. Sorry if that was a little too loud. I'm trying to adjust the audio for that intro right there. I hope I didn't blow your ears out. Usually there's like no one here at the very beginning, so I guess there's no one to tell me that it's too loud. But other than that, is everything else pretty okay volume-wise? I gotta adjust that thing for later. Oh my goodness. So yeah, we're here today. Yep, there we go. Yeah, we're here today doing just a quick design stream. I'm gonna be doing a mobile background for The World Is With You. Focus on Shiki. I kind of already did the whole like setup here for the format and everything. Hello, Just Dan, how's it going? So the design stream today is going to be a little more focused on text and formatting your fonts in a specific space in design. So the thing we're doing here is going to be a lot more like formatting and such. Let me lower this just a tiny bit because I don't want the background audio to be too loud. And yeah, man, this is coming like right after. I was supposed to do this yesterday, but the whole No More Heroes stream ended up going on super long, and that pretty much killed my sleep schedule. I ended up sleeping way past when I wanted to actually do the stream, so I ended up leaving it for today. Kind of works out though, because in that time we got the trailer for Neo, The World Ends With You, and also the anime's dropped already. I gotta watch the first episode still. Let's see the dimensions for this, Dan. I think it's mostly set for like an iPhone, like the series, not Series X, for the iPhone like X version. So it's like 922 by, wait, let me see here. This still works. 922 by 2048. Resolution pretty much stays the same. Whoop. But yeah, for this one, we're gonna go ahead and just get this one started real quick. Let's see here. So background, we want to do obviously something with The World Ends With You related. So we have a wallpaper going on over here. Let me just, oh my goodness, this is so small. I'm always thrown off by how large it looks here and then how tiny it actually ends up being. But we'll just stretch this out because the background will probably just be blurred out anyways. It's not going to be so much about what we're putting on the background, but more for the font in the foreground. So people don't always need like the largest size resolution for the back. I mean, I end up blurring a lot of it anyway, so it's all good. But man, yeah, I'm just excited that there's finally a new The World Ends With You coming out after all this time. Like, since I saw that trailer, like the first trailer, that was really exciting back then. And then the new one that just came out too. Man, that's it's weird to see a game that's been out for so long like get a sequel just like over a decade later. Let's see here. So yeah, this is going to be mostly focused on text, but I want to get the background pretty much sorted out right now. The problem is, what in the world do I do with her here? I did edit her a little bit, like the bag that's sitting on down here. Like this was going on a little too low, so I just kind of raised it a bit to leave more room for the text. Whether or not that's actually going to work out for me later on, we're going to find out as we design it. I had some brushes ready for this. There are some The World Ends With You brushes, but I'm going to focus more on these graffiti arrows I have here. Yeah, for this one, I want to also do, if this goes out well, if this comes out well enough, I want to do one for Neku as well, because main character, obviously. Oh goodness, there's so many here. Gonna have to nudge these around. And we still might adjust these later on in the future too. Oops. Okay. Let's try and see how this works. I'll hide her for a bit. Usually I put like a sort of shape going along the bottom here that just kind of like goes along that side for the as like a sort of border. Something like that, but we're saying we're gonna do something different. Like I'm gonna try to break through that different just different kind of conventions that we're used to doing. But let's see how what works out best. I think it'd work out better if I get this color out of the way. So for her, she's got a color scheme that has like paler reds and greens. So I wonder what we can do to make that a little more. Oh boy. If we color drop her, I wonder if that's going to work out. That red and then just this green. And it looks very, it just looks kind of muddy, unfortunately. Okay, we can adjust it ourselves. So what I actually plan to do here is I'm going to take lyrics from one of the songs in the game. The one that's playing right now in the background, actually, Calling. I want to take the lyrics of that song and put it in format with her. So it's going to be pretty much the whole design is going to be dominated by the text and the font. Um, oops. But hopefully that works out correctly the way I'm planning it for to. Right now I'm trying to get just the right colors on here. Although there's so much green, hold on. This needs to scale back. Something like that for the red. Definitely something like that for the red. And then the green, we're gonna nudge this one down. It's so hard to deal with these colors here. Okay. What do we do with this one? The hue, the color. Oops. Sorry, just trying to figure this one out right now. Oh, how do I nudge this color closer? Maybe it's going crazy because it's not the size. Oh, okay, so I'm gonna select this with the marquee tool. Oops, whoops, whoops. So when you have this selected with the marquee tool, if you are on the layer you want to copy from, if you hit Control J, it'll take that layer, but just have the one piece here chopped out. So right now we have the whole, right now we have like this whole background, like the entire thing is currently in the back, but we don't need the whole thing. So I just Control J on that one. And now we have just this one piece by itself. I think that's what I was trying to do because the gradient was going too wide. So Let me go back over here and spread this out again. Okay, yeah. I wanted to do the kind of a two-tone going on here. Top half, more red of her, the reds of her hairs in her shirt. And the bottom half, more of her shorts, skirt, greener colors. So we'll have that there. Right. This could be a little greener. It's honestly a little too muddy. What if I just did... Oh, yeah. Something like that instead. We set this to color. We're going to move this down just a little bit. Very subtle difference. Okay. Now I want to mess around with the with this here. Along with that, let's just go ahead and put a white layer and just put it very low so we can brighten this up, because we're gonna focus more so on the background just for now. But we have these. Okay, now the vector shapes can come in. Man, I'm always thrown off when I'm working with just fonts and different text, because I'm so used to just doing graphics, just the graphics themselves, but whenever I do the fonts, it's always a different struggle. Let me move this out the way. In the end, you'll probably hardly even see this background, but we're gonna try anyways. Move this to the side. Man, I can't even hear myself. Okay. So we'll hide you just for the moment. We will get to the vector work eventually. Or the font work. Oof. Sorry, I know when it comes to doing all these different brushes, I get a little bit like sidetracked with all the different options you have here. There's so many different ones you can choose from. Let's see. For her, what if we just made one, oops, black right here? It probably doesn't make as much sense just yet, but I'm just trying to make the border just good enough, smooth enough for this to make sense. It might just end up changing it all later on anyway, so it really depends on how I want to structure this. I thought I had a little more flexibility with these brushes before, but there's a lot of different shapes going on here. All right. All right. This is a new layer. Okay. Gotta get somewhere with this, man. I do want this to come to the end here. So we'll erase this hardness, go a little more. The main point is that with her here, the main focus is to just have it so that there's that kind of movement going on. So she's going kind of at this arc right here, right? And so I'm trying to make her the arrows here flow in that same direction, going that way. The arrows here going up this way, because she's going. The movement is coming from here, so it's sort of like I want the focus on these arrows here to do that sort of to kind of help with that effect. The movement of the images always helps a lot with the flow, the energy of it. So if you can get that going, if you can convey that through the design itself, it always helps it like by a whole bunch. Whether I can accomplish that very well or not, it depends on the person doing it, of course. So just kind of that's what I was doing in the first place. But I was so thrown off by the the shapes of the arrows were so like rapid and just out of nowhere. Hmm. Probably something down here too. Let's see. Okay, we'll do a different arrow here. Up, 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 up. See, I was trying to use different arrows for this, but they're all so, I guess not samey, but the ones I want to use are all just the same ones I want. So I guess we're going to use that same brush, but just kind of warp it around to make sure it fits with what we're trying to do. At the moment, I just have The World Ends With You playing in the background for moral support. Probably not as many people going to be watching this one since it's a little more niche. I don't imagine as many people play The World Ends With You. But I still wanted to make something for them because when this came out on the DS, I don't know why I got it. To be honest, it didn't seem like something I would be drawn to. I guess because of the, I guess I didn't really involve myself with like the whole Japanese culture, like not just like I guess not your typical JRPG either. It's like the modern day culture. I didn't really immerse myself in that until even more recently. So, but this game definitely helped introduce me to it. And then I tried to play the game again for the final mix version on Switch. I haven't completed that one yet, like all the way through. I know at the very end there's more content, and that kind of relates to what happens in um, a slight lead up to Neo, but maybe the anime will show that too. I'll just have to finish that soon. We're gonna blur this just a little bit because it's kind of pixelated in the background. Not that much though. What if we put a blending layer on top? Added color, we could do that later. Whoops. Nothing too out of the blue. Make it a lighten and a little bit less. Oh boy. Maybe I use this sometimes, fogging. Oh, there we go. I'll leave it like this for now. But also, the 3-strip look to add that saturation, but not like completely bleeding out the colors as well. Okay. So with that out of the way, I'm gonna actually try and do the font. So, we'll put it right under Shiki. Font. Okay, this is where it's gonna actually start. So the lyrics, I gotta put the lyrics for calling. I'm not gonna put the entire song lyrics on there, but more so like the main verses. So for calling, be a lot of fonts going on here. I need to get the first portion written out. I think I know what font to use for something like this. Did I recently use it? I did not. Where's T? T. So here's the thing. If your goal is to have font be your main focus, you want to do a thicker font. You want to have something that's going to stand out more so than like a thinner font like this, for example. I mean, the whole point is to bring attention to what you're designing, right? So I've done other designs where the font will vary, like it will vary like dramatically. Like it'll be a thin font, it'll be a bolder font, it'll be cursive, because that was pretty much the point of the design, was to kind of be a bit more dynamic. This one's a little more. Yeah, I wish I knew what the specific word, but it's going to be just like the font going up along here, going down along the side, and then down behind here as well. Where it's like pretty much that kind of poster style where it's just the lyrics, the going up and down. It's not all going to be legible. That's not. It's more so just for that graphic style effect. So if I have this here, I'm trying to figure out which font will work the best. I think this will do. The first lyrics are calling. You hear the calling, and this repeats once. We're going to just have the same exact one down here. We're going to try and make this even. And I remember doing this sort of thing before, and it was easiest when you did the first lyric, and then go ahead and do the last one as well for that stanza, for that portion. So if I look through here, the last stanza would be, "Dear friend, once more." Although it's going to be a little awkward because the way she's positioned, it's not gonna read entirely. So I think, you know what, we're gonna remove this here. Let's just give it its own layer. If you can properly format the first lyric and then the last one on the bottom, then you just, the whole thing will be just you trying to fit everything in between. And yes, they're all going to be different sizes, different, possibly different kerning, different formats. Just make that a comma. Mm-hmm. It should be about the same size. Wow, that did not work out the same size. And we're going to inevitably enter layer hell with just text. But that's why we're grouping these ones, because if we group them, there'll be a lot less to deal with later. I'll just name it top lyrics for now, so I'm not confused later. Is this the right one? Condense font. Give me just a second. Oops. Oh, I'm not even selecting it. Oh my goodness. I hate when I do that. I guess that's the same one. Mm-hmm. Whoops. That's fine. Make this a little smaller. Kind of a different stream going on, I know, but I hope everyone can bear with me. I wanted to try something different. How long you hear the calling? Let me go. That's not going to fit. The last part's not going to fit. Let me go gravity. That's not going to fit. So we're going to make that intentionally larger. You know, we'll make this a little smaller. Let's make it tinier. But to compensate for that a little bit, we'll extend the kerning. Well, tracking rather. No. Tracking is the amount of space between the characters themselves. So if we go in real close, it's all under the character section. So if you do tracking, you can extend it to make it a lot wider between the font. If you look at Let Me Go, I mean, you can go pretty wide with this. Just because it stops at 200 doesn't mean that's the limit. You can go to like 1,000 and even higher if you want to. But that'll make it a little harder to read. You can also decrease it as well to make them go fit a little bit tighter in the space that you might need it. But for this, we want to make it so that it fills the space between her hat and also the edge over here. So 200 is still too small, so we'll go 250, just a little bit larger. We'll have that sit there. And gravity, let's just make it large enough to fit from end to end. We can cut a little bit to beneath her as well, because there we go. So since these are both part of the same lyric, the same line, I'll just stick them together like that, right there. Oh boy, I'm looking at all these lyrics, I'm just like, oh, I hope they can fit this in here. Next lyric, yeah, the next lyric is "What's on my shoulder." Little by little is after that. So let's make that large too, because that's not going to work out for that portion. My God, I'm actually using the whole screen. I can't believe it. Finally. Let's see. Okay. I have a slight reference for doing this sort of thing, but doesn't always translate very well to what I'm trying to do myself. This will be a little bit spaced out more. What's on my... This should be a little bit smaller. It is a bit hard to see exactly what this font will be. It's a little bit... The wallpaper is a little bit bright still, so we can still adjust that later on. But we'll make sure that we have the font here stand out. Oh boy. So this one doesn't have to have any kind of tracking. Yeah, kerning and tracking are two different things. They look like they're the same business, but tracking does the whole word. Like 200. Oh, sorry. How did I get the red and green, or the red and bottom green? That was a gradient. So for this one, blah, 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 blah. Double click on the wallpaper layer, on the very bottom layer, and just did a gradient overlay. So I did a whole bunch of different situations where I tried to make different colors happen, different textures happen. Set it the color, opacity. We use gradients to set the two different tones on here, and the angle as well. You can set this angle to like anywhere you want, but I just set it to, oh gosh, what was it? I don't know what it was. For 49 or so. I'll just cancel and go back. Let me see here. Ooh. There's too much art of Shiki, actually. I was hoping there'd be a little bit more to work with, but this is probably the best one I can do for the format I wanted to do. Man, it's a little too dark. Maybe I don't need this layer. Oh, that doesn't do much. Levels. If I do levels... Hmm. I wonder what to do with that one. Oh. But then that's red too. I just want to make that text a little bit more visible. But I don't want to mess with this down here. So we'll just kind of encircle around that part on her. Oops, here we go. Delete that, just that one. And I still might do adjustments to that later on. But anyways, we'll go back to the font. The problem is, as I work on this down from the top, I hope I can make it fit this, because I still have a couple of lyrics to go. So I'm gonna go from the bottom up for the sake of hopefully convenience here. It's just gonna look like a bunch of nonsense because I'm still putting lyrics down that doesn't make sense contextually. Unto the breach. Let's remove some tracking here because it's really oh, that's too much. Just a neat little trick. You squeeze it down and then oops. You can go ahead and make it larger and still see all the text. And while I'm doing this, I'm just like trying to envision how it's going to look top to bottom, because there's a lot of text to play with when you decide to do something like this. There's a lot of different text to keep in mind. I guess I'm just a little quiet because I'm trying to calculate all that nonsense in my head. Let's grab all the font layers right now. Not pick this one and this one because they're not all the way to the left, and justify them to the left. So when you have a bunch of layers picked out, this little window shows up on the top when you have your selection tool. You can either center them all, justify them to the right, to the left. You can have it so that they all space out evenly vertically or evenly horizontally, bottom, top, and so on. So if I click this, it's like they all center. This one's all to the right because I think they're abiding by this layer's law, because this one goes all the way to the left and right. So that one's hardly even going to move. You can have them all cram up to the top, to the middle, to the bottom. But now I screwed it all up, so so I'll go back a few layer steps. Okay, and with this one, we'll move them all to the left, just so that they're all on the same basic line from top to bottom. But let's see. Little by little. Little by little. Oops. Okay. Trying to figure this out little by little. Little. This is actually it's the actual lyric. Kind of want to just do that on our separate layers. Making each line a separate layer is very handy for tweaking them individually, but not so handy when they all make too many layers to deal with. By little. By little. Okay. I'm trying to keep it all even, but man. Let me go, gravity. What's on my shoulder? Little by little. I feel a bit better. Let me know, set me free. I feel a bit older. Oh my goodness. That's a lot of lyrics. We're gonna squeeze it in somehow. Let's stretch that out. Maybe make it just a little bit smaller. 200. If they're part of the same line, I'm going to put them very close to each other, as you can see from for this little spot. Like, there's just going to be that much closer. If they're separate on different lines, I'll have them just space out a little bit more like that, just so it's a little bit easier to read. It's a little different because like the the lyrics are meant to be read, but they're also part of the background as like its own texture. So little by little, I, oops, feel a bit better. Let's not track that at all. Oh man. Let's just go ahead and let it bleed out that way. So you won't be able to read the entire lyric, but I feel it better. And then there's sort of the same lyric down here. Let me know. Set me free. I listened to this soundtrack like so much while it was like fresh in my mind playing the DS version, and I made like little audio CDs for it for my car. I would listen to this going on the way to school and back. I just kind of consumed myself, or the indulge myself rather with the whole entire soundtrack in here. So, oh boy, let's see. Let me go gravity. What's on my shoulder? Little by little, I feel a bit better. Let me know, set me free. I feel a. Whoops. This one is actually. I feel a bit older. Let me know, set me free. I feel a bit older. Although we're still not gonna be able to see it much. Hang on. Go back down here. That's the thing when you deal with this many layers and fonts, it's a bit tricky. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's a little too much space here. We can get away with making this a little larger. You can kind of infer what the words say too, little by little. You only can't see the over there. I feel a bit. Well, you can't really read better, but I won't. I won't worry too much about every little detail. Or else we'll never get it done. Let's see. Let's see. Let me know. There it is. Make this just a little smaller. I feel a bit. Let me make both of these larger. I want these to be the same because they pretty much have the same format on them. It is a bit risky to focus just on font. Because I could easily just take over your entire design if you're not careful. Even though that is the point. It's like I feel like I've seen ads like this before where the font just kind of is the background, more or less. Um, mm-hmm. And you know what? The bottom here, we can still add some texture to it. So let me take a small break from the text for a bit. If we copy Control J on Shiki, we'll make a new layer of what you already have. Nudge it down just a bit, put this underneath. And then let's take this. We'll do a color overlay. We'll make it one of these colors. Darken it just a bit. Pattern. I wish pattern would be above the color, because then I have to like hit OK, right click, rasterize the layer, and then you can put the pattern on top of it, because there's like their own set of layers on here, and I kind of wish I could move it around. We're not going to do that line. We're going to do dots. Maybe this one. It's black and white, but we'll set it to color burn. So then we'll take the whites away. Focus mostly on the black. I think that's okay. Add a stroke. Just a black stroke on the outside, not the inside. And there's a little too much going on over here, because this is getting in the way of the lyrics, so we're gonna erase these ones here. So they're just below her. And then we'll do that again. You can either hit Control J to make a copy, or if you hold Alt and drag from the selection tool, whatever you have selected will become a new layer too. So all of a sudden we have a double. So I'm going to put this in the bottom. Down here, here we go. Oh goodness, it's in the layers. So remove the pattern, remove the stroke, color overlay. Where'd it go? Oh, it's the other one. Here, there's a lower one. Got that mixed up for a moment. So remove that, move the stroke, color overlay. We'll put her green on here instead. Be a little more true and faithful to this green instead. When I save work, when I save the work, if I'm gonna show it on Twitter, I usually save it as like a JPEG, because for some reason Twitter just likes to decompress everything. If it's a PNG file, for some reason it like sometimes depending on what you do with the color in that design, it'll wash it out. So I usually save as a JPEG if I'm gonna post on Twitter. PNG files are like in my albums where they're the higher quality that people can actually download. So I try to get people to download from the albums instead, because those are the higher quality ones. But I still see people just download it straight from Twitter, and I'm like, well, what can you do? I can't tell them which one to download from. Or if you have an image hosting, if you can host images and you just want to share your designs for free, you could always do that as well. Just leave a link to where you're hosting the image. There's a few different sites I've used for that, but I think this is going somewhere. Okay, we have this so far. I think it's coming along. We'll do the second part of the lyrics from here. Um, 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 um. Hmm. You should put that on top. Wake up. There's a lot of wake ups here, so give me a moment. Wake up. Okay. There's a lot less text on the bottom portion, so that should be a little bit easier to deal with. Let me just put the last lyric on the bottom here. But we have a lot more room to work with, so I don't think I can get away with making it as small. Now I gotta measure how this is going to look here. It never ends. Okay, so this one, there's definitely going to be kerning, tracking on this one. We'll make this large enough to go from side to side. This one will be a little smaller. Actually, you know what? You can make it a little. I don't want it to be the same style all the time. I don't want like small font and big font, you know. Kind of mix it up. So we'll make the top font bigger if we can. Well, by doing that, we'll increase the tracking to be wider. So that means we have to shrink it down so you can see the text again. Tracking, kerning, that does a whole bunch if you know how to kind of finesse that your text that way. Your font doesn't always have to be just the bold italic and such. You can always adjust it in other ways too. I want to do something else with the font as well once we get to that point. Just to make it stand out just a little more. But right now, this is more or less what we're trying to do with this. We're going to justify this to the right as well. Well, the other one was justified to the left. Oh man. Earlier, if you look at this font, or not font, if you look at this render, I tried to adjust the bag so it's pushed up a bit higher because this hangs really low and I'm just like, man, that's gonna get in the way of a lot of the design and the text. So I tried to adjust it to make it work out a little bit better. But it's still gonna be way in the way. So let's we're gonna figure out how to work with this. And we need to catch up with the font because there's not a lot of lyrics going from here to there. Mm-hmm. It's just one word. I'm just gonna make it like this instead. Is there a space? Yeah, there is. There we go. Make it large. Yeah, this portion is gonna be a little tight because it's so hard to squeeze it in there. The next lyric is, oh gosh, of course it's a little giant. Leave your hesitation. You don't even be able to see any of it at all. If we make it smaller, Auto. That does nothing. 24, 30. Just enough to get a little bit. Yeah, the word hesitation is not going to survive this. Wake up. Leave your hesitation. Wake up. Time for us to realize. Oh yeah, it says time for us to realize twice. What? Like that? Let me first of all time meditation, time for us to realize, wake up. This song's gonna get stuck in my head today. For anyone that wants to listen to the actual song that I'm making the lyrics for, it's called Calling. One of the first themes you hear in The World Ends With You. It's like one of the map themes when you're hanging around with Shiki as your partner. Because you get different partners. Shiki isn't with you the entire time, but you kind of swap around your partners throughout the story. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Oh boy. There's so many wake ups. But then I need to put in show appreciation. Good lord. Okay, you're gonna get real teeny out here. We're gonna track you a lot more. Maybe not that much. Dun, 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 dun. You see wake up so much and you kind of can infer that it's saying wake up, wake up, wake up. All the way down, right? Oh boy. I hope more people can get into The World Ends With You. Especially with Neo coming out. There was so much of a following, so much that it got into Kingdom Hearts. Dream Drop Distance. For anyone that played Dream Drop Distance, that was like one of the pulls for me was like, oh my god, The World Ends With You and Kingdom Hearts? That's crazy. Shibuya slowly becoming more and more relevant to the Kingdom Hearts universe, if you ever thought that could be a thing. Where's this one? Get down here. Oh no. I'm just gonna have to fill this space up. Show Minamoto. I can't believe he's back in the sequel. I have a cousin who cosplayed Sho from the game, one of the main antagonists, the one that says so Zeta slow and talks in like calculus and math problems. And he's back. It's crazy. But he was definitely a fan favorite, so I can see why. Very interested to see how he integrates with the story. Oh, that's so small. Oh, goodness. What did I have this at? Show appreciation. Words to live by. Please show appreciation for those that that you respect. I want to fill this up, but it's not gonna cooperate all the way, is it? 90? So I have to be a little smaller then. Make this just a little smaller. Okay. Should be like 55 or so. Yeah, for those who aren't really too used to working with different fonts, I'm working with the man, there's so many different components here. So I've been mostly working with the tracking here and there, making it so that font like this can naturally spread the font apart, either making it closer, leaving it at default, or putting it a lot wider. Doing it horizontally, that's the tracking. But you can also work with the leading, which I've been doing here and there, but I kind of forgot to mention that. So with this layer here, right above tracking is the leading. So you can leave it at auto. And every font has like their own predefined like space between when you do different lines laying on each other. It's not too commonly used in graphic design, I guess, because most people will do like just one line of text, either a name or something, and do something else completely different below it. But if you're doing something like this where you need you need to stack on the font for graphic purposes, then yeah, dealing with the leading is a lot easier to manage that than rather make a new layer, put it on top however you want. It's just an extra step, but you can still do it this way too. So the higher that the leading is, the more spread apart that they will be. If it's really small, they're going to be really close to each other. Auto might just make it wider than what the recommended largest size would be. But you can also put in just any number if you want to get really specific. So I put 55 for this one, for this specific font. And I want to line this up with Wake Up. Right there. You see those pink lines? I got my smart guides on. Didn't really like having the smart guides on because they kind of screwed up with the lining I was trying to do beforehand, but I've gotten used to them and they've kind of helped out more so than other functions that I find kind of useless in Photoshop. So we're going to copy this layer. We're going to put it on the very top because these are the layers for the second portion, but we're missing one Wake Up. It repeats it after every line. But we're going to make this a little different. We're going to line this up, make it larger. Is this default? I'm going to make it default leading. And then if you right click it, I'm going to convert this into a smart object. Because what I want to do is make it a little more dynamic. If you hit Control T, it'll have the transform tool here, right? So you can adjust it, making bigger or smaller. You can make it taller, or lower, or more squat and squished. But if you hold Control at these anchor points on the corner, you can kind of adjust more so the style that you're. Well, you kind of warp it, but you can warp it. But the fact that it's still a text font, it's gonna be kind of limited. Like you see here, it kind of makes these jumps and its own. It takes its own liberties because it wants to stay as a font that you can still edit. So like, even though it's like, let's see here, where did that portion go? So even though it's like this, right? You can still edit the font to be anything you want here. So let's try my name. You can just make it like it's still editable that way if you leave it as this text font format. So adjusting it that way can always help for most situations, I think. But I want to do something a little more than that. So go back to here. And let me see, even if you have select this portion here, yeah, if you hold Control and move and adjust it around, or I think it's the Apple key on a Mac, You can really just play with this, but since it's so limited being just a type font, text layer, then it's not going to be as customizable as you may want it to be. So that's why I mentioned earlier, right click, and if you convert it into a smart object, it'll stay fairly well on the resolution. But now if you do the same option, you'll see it looks a little bit different now. If you do the Control T for free transform, if you select the corner and move it, now you can do, it's a lot more freeform, and you can make it a lot more dynamic this way. You can get pretty exaggerated with this kind of format, and you can just kind of apply that to different ones. But if you do it too much, it'll kind of warp it. You can see it's kind of blurry on this edge here, but we're not going to work on it that hard. Let's just make it a little bit so that it's kind of coming outwards towards us. We're just going to nudge this over. We're going to just do subtle differences, subtle changes. It's kind of laying down. But the I guess vanishing point would be up here in the corner, and it's like coming out this way. And of course, it kind of doesn't stand out too well with the background here. So we're going to just double click this, add a stroke. Maybe not the largest stroke. I'm going to leave it at like 6 or so, right? But then we're going to copy that layer as well. So hit Control J, put this underneath, and then looks a little funky right there, but you can just go ahead, go inside here, color overlay that to any color you want really, but I'm going to make it black so that it looks like it's a thicker, like it's coming out harder than what you saw earlier. I've kind of used this for a lot of different things, but it's a pretty effective way to just make that stand out harder. So we're going to put that right here. Kind of thought of that before I even did the stream itself. And, yeah, that stroke's actually a pretty good way to make it stand out. So what if I just apply that up here too? So we're going to take, this is the bottom text. Bottom text on top, top lyrics on bottom. It's a little confusing. So if you have a group of stuff, so I put all this font here on the top half into this right here where it says top lyrics. They're all grouped in this folder, so if you take off the eyeball, you'll see the entire thing come and go. You open it up, you can see all the layers separately. But if you double click on this layer, you can treat it as its own adjustment layer, and it'll affect everything that's under it. So if I do stroke or color overlay, it'll do everything without having to individually adjust every single layer, which saves a lot of time if you're trying to do something with multiple layers with the same effect. So I was just thinking what this would look like if we had a stroke in the same way. This may not work out well. It might be exactly what we're looking for. We don't know. I don't want to add too many details because I want to keep it fairly simplistic with its design. The nice thing to do is you can have a stroke and also add a drop shadow. Make that normal. Have the distance come out so it can kind of look like it's jumping right out here. For that kind of thing, I'll leave the size to 0 so that it's not too blurry. Usually if you want a shadow, then go ahead and make it larger if you want to make it more shadowy. But I'm trying to work with as many solid vector and shapes that I can. There is something I wanted to do as well. Does this work? It does not work. Okay. I'm gonna do something a little different. So let's make sure that this is not too far out. Drop shadow. Okay then. So we got these arrows. 1, 2. Here's the thing. We're going to take this layer. We're going to actually duplicate it. But we're going to hide the other one because I'm not sure if this is going to work out as well. If you're on a folder with a bunch of items on it, if you hit Control E, it'll become just its own layer by itself. It's no longer a folder. It's all just one shape as it is. That's why we made a copy, because if it doesn't work out, we still have the original. I'm going to hold Control over these layers with the arrows. So if you hold Control and click on it, it'll select just that one portion right here. And the thing is, if you hold Control and Shift, you can do that for, you can see the little plus sign just barely right there. If you hold that, you can do 1, 2, as many layers as you have on here. Just a moment. Man, I think I let that audio way too low. Let's see. So, with that selected, oops. Let's see here. We'll select the layer with this copy and hit Control J. So now we just have the portion in the black here. So what if we did something where we made that black instead? Oh, but the stroke's gonna be a little wacky. Because there was a drop shadow, huh? Oh, I see. Okay. Let me try that again. So with this layer, let me remove the stroke and drop shadow. Then we copy it and make it its own layer. And then we're going to select all these one more time. J, Control J to do that. Okay, now if I double click on this to do a color overlay, stroke. I don't know why that part's showing. I gotta adjust that portion. Outside will be white. Okay. I don't know why that layer is there. Oh, it must have been because I was manually deleting the layer. And it got a little bit caught. Or some got a little bit left over. Hopefully that won't matter too much. Hmm. Still looks a bit funky, to be honest. But I do like how it's a little bit more of its own thing here. If I just lower this a bit, will that look okay? No. No. Gonna start being very picky on this stuff. Leave it at 2. Man, there's such a big difference between 2 and 1. What the heck? Oh, I see. Go in just a bit to erase the portion that I can see that are messing it up over here. Well, this was just an idea. I was thinking maybe I could make it stand out a bit more with this font. Remove that entirely. There's just some portions that don't need to be there. Stroke. The inside looks better than the outside. Is it better to be inside? It really just depends. I might adjust that look for it a little bit later. I'm sure there's a way to fine-tune this later on. There. Yeah, the whole reason was to put the black arrows underneath to be a way to like kind of control the flow of it, as well as being this kind of way to break up the text from being too monotonous. But I don't know, I might keep it like this, or I might just go ahead and just leave it simplistic. Oh man, simplistic with this layer right here, with this look. Not entirely sure yet. Oh, she moved a bit. Right there. Yeah, it's a little messy to look at, but we can always still adjust it. I don't know if I could accomplish that same effect with the bottom text here too. I'll just try it real quick and then probably just wrap that one up. Not too long of a stream, to be honest. Just a quick sort of something to see if I can make this work, and celebrating the world ends with you. I gotta watch the anime still. Okay, so same things before. We'll make a copy of that. Move this for now. And where's all the black here? Oops. This. Oh no. So we're selecting this. Color overlay. that's not going to follow the entire route because, oh, I should have counted this layer too. Might have to manually go inside and still delete some portions just so it still makes contextual sense. Some of this might have to be deleted too. Oh, I could just select this bottom layer and just delete that from there, right? Yeah, I was gonna take some more adjusting just to make sure that it looks okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to think what else I could do with it at the moment. I think for the rest of this, I'll just kind of make slight tweaks and adjustments to this one. It's more or less how I wanted to try and adjust with fonts and such. I might just leave these off, who knows, because I wanted to try and do something different with that kind of font style. But maybe it's better like this, I don't know. We'll take a look at it. We'll take a deeper look, and maybe we'll post these later on. Because I want to do one with Neku as well. Neku and maybe the song Twister. I can kind of see that working out a little bit better, but this is something that, you know, just wanted to try it out and see if that worked out this way. We still want to do a little bit more with design streams a little bit later on. Hopefully I can get this going a little more consistently. Might have commissions later on because it's nice to have somebody else on here chatting with me. I don't really have anybody that does the World Ends With You, so it's just me today. But that being said, I think we have something here. We'll go ahead and post these later on. Here's the arrows. No, wait, this is the other one. We'll see. We'll definitely see. But yeah, I didn't want to spend too much time here because I do have somewhere I need to be. To anyone that listened in or to anybody that was watching, thank you for for bearing with me as I figured out some little text formats and techniques here. As always, you can always find us on Twitter at EverNightStudio. We're doing different designs and such all the time. Recently did a little bit more with the Fire Emblem Resplendent forms. There's a wallpaper and desktop background for a couple right now, and the albums that we have listed on our pinned tweet has a lot of different stuff on it for like a portfolio and for our just general albums that have the most content in them. But that aside, thanks for joining me. I am Nighttide, and we hope you all have a good day. Thank you.